Welcome once again to Breakfast Central. The conversations kick off this morning talking security. Now, over the last 2 decades, organized crime affecting Nigeria has evolved structurally, becoming both more violent and more sophisticated. Kidnapping, including both mass abductions and individual kidnapping, has become a serious driver of insecurity in Nigeria. The number of incidents doubled between 2019 and 2020 and doubled again between 2020 and 2021, with more than 400 documented incidents and 5,200 victims.
Now, this ugly incident this ugly trend fuels political instability, threatens economic activity, deters foreign and domestic investments, and diverts resources and attention away from key sectors such as education, health, and infrastructure. There are calls on policymakers, practitioners, and international partners alike to forge a coherent approach to preventing organized crime, protect the victims, pursue the prosecutors, pursue and prosecute the actors, and promote partnerships and collaboration. Joining us this morning to assess the rise in insecurity in Nigeria is security and intelligence expert, Dr. Seyi Adetayo. Good morning and thank you for joining us, sir.
Yeah, good morning. Pleasure to be here. And Happy New Year.
Yes, it's good to have you. Happy New Year to you as well. It's unfortunate how we, of course, launched into the new year with the those on the plateau having to deal with the incidents of the murder of a number of Nigerians, ranking over 150. Now, the way in which the government has responded to this, some have criticized, some have said that the government has done the best that they could. So I'd like you to talk to us about, first of all, let's look at the plateau as an isolated situation. What happened on the plateau? What do you think should have been done differently, especially because we hear that they had gotten reports and they had been forewarned about the attacks?
Okay, so the issue in Plateau is not a new occurrence. It's something that has been on for a long time, and I can assure you, in spite of all the noise, the arrests said by the military spokesperson, another incident will still happen. It might happen in a few days, in a few weeks, or maybe in a month or two from now, another one will happen. And the reason why we continue to have this is that we've not demonstrated enough willingness to show that we are ready to punish killings in Nigeria. This is not the first time, and it is not a plateau issue alone. It is something that has, that occurs all around the whole country. We are rewarding criminality. It's not that the people do not know the genesis, the history of what is happening in Plateau, why we are here, and those that are behind it. The killing is not just about those guys that are carrying guns. It's about who are those that are benefiting from all this killing all this while. We've seen similar things happening in Kaduna for a long time before it metamorphosed into banditry and militancy. There have been killings in Kaduna, that villages will be sacked, and nobody was doing anything. So our criminal justice system is the major issue. And until we move away from the way we are handling mass murdering like this, genocide like this, killings like this, until we get to a situation where we make arrests, prosecutions, and executions of judgment are done within 2 or 3 months, the executions were done visibly for all Nigerians to see that if you do this, Nigerian government will also reward you with adequate punishment. Those who have killed people, they end up coming out of prison and going back into the community. So tell me why new criminals will be afraid to kill? Because they've seen those before them that nothing happened to them. That is the issue. Our criminal justice system in Nigeria is not working. I've had the opportunity of working with judiciary in Lagos over, issues around criminal justice reform, in Lagos State. And this is one of the major issues. What we have currently is not working. And these killings will continue until, look at those who are even terrorists, non-terrorists that were arrested. Many of them are still in court 10 years after. What message are we passing to the families of the deceased? What message are we passing to those that are currently vulnerable to be recruited as terrorists?
Yeah.
What do we that we are harming these terrorists in terms of what they tell these terrorists, don't worry, you will not be caught. Even when you are caught, we will get you out. Nothing will happen to you. And they will give examples of those who have been caught, they were under our release. So we're even released under some negotiated terms. You know, these are things that are not working in Nigeria.
Mr. Adesayo,
these are the things.
Yeah, before we go further and discuss, the current administration and how serious or unserious they are with tackling these issues, let's go back to the Buhari administration here and also see, if maybe that's where the problem's coming from. They claimed, to come in to tackle insecurity. I listened to an interview yesterday, and a retired military personnel argued that Buhari contributed absolutely nothing to improving Nigeria's security architecture. So would you say that, the Nigerian government in the last, on the average, 10 years has not invested enough in improving its security? And that's why we continue to see these things happen and develop into other forms of security challenges? Or is the challenge that the government itself is complicit? There's people in government, in security agencies, in the criminal justice system that are complicit, that are benefiting from it, and that's why it's not being sorted out.
Okay, so the last thing you said now is the thing. The previous assertion is incorrect. This issue we are having predates the last administration. It has been on before Buhari government. And for the person to say that Buhari government did not contribute, that is not true. Lots of investment. In fact, in the past 20 years, I think the highest level of investment into security was from Buhari government, then Goodluck Jonathan government. Lots were invested. However, this investment did not translate into desired results. There are two different things. One thing is for government to invest. Another thing is for the government to see the result of its investment. And why was it so? Because there are elements in the government for tribal reasons, ethno-religious reasons, pecuniary reasons, decided to sabotage the effort at addressing these situations. Many of them, because they were benefiting from the criminality, they sabotaged it. Some as a result of ethnic consideration or religious consideration, we're seeing it because they are die-hard bigots that felt there is an opportunity for them to deal, with other tribe or other religion because of what they feel. They decide to sabotage the effort of the government. These are issues that have to do with individuals and some small groups. It's not, a nationwide issue or an administration issue. And one of the reasons why it is difficult for government to be able to see this thing clearly, because every president is deaf to what is happening. The information available to the president are sieved before it even gets to the hearing of the president. So a lot has to do with those around the president, what they are telling the president, what they are telling the government, how much they are telling the government, what is their own desire or interest in what was happening at that particular time. And that is the reason why we are where we are today. If the proper things have been done, and we're one of those, I don't think that it is difficult for National Assembly to come up with a law on our criminal justice system, setting up a special court or tribunal to handle this, where they have a mandate to make sure that all these matters are addressed within 6 months, justice are being done immediately, people see those who kill are being prosecuted, face firing squad, and killed. I am telling you, when you see that there is punishment, you see, in reward and motivation. This is part of the things that you learn when you study psychology. A reward and motivation. When you promise a child a reward for good deed, it is expected that when you don't give that child a reward, you kill the motivation in that child. When you promise punishment for a child, when the child does a bad thing, and you don't punish that child, when the bad thing is done, you have empowered the child to continue to do bad things, because you told the child that I will be rant and I will not be able to do anything.
Yeah. So there's a part where they are complicit. There are parts where for tribal, for maybe financial, political reasons, they've not acted as they should act. They've not been professional with their duties. They've not been able to stamp out these issues. But there is a president. There's a president that you would expect will be able to take a firm stand and say enough is enough. and give deadlines. Mr. Desai, we saw a government, and of course it's pretty much almost the same that's going to happen now. We saw a government that Nigerians had to almost beg to change the service chiefs because Nigerians saw that these things were not working. And so the attitude of the president towards this thing, how much does it tell as to whether we would ever get it sorted?
You see, two things are here. I mean, two things here. One, priorities. The way you prioritize issues before you. When you bring in the issue of service chiefs change does not change anything, and that is the reality. It's not the service chief that are on the field. There are several commanders that report to senior commanders, and another commander reporting to another commander. And as you move, up the command chain, information begins to change. Quality of what you hear begins to change. The reality begins to change. And a lot has to do with your perception, your level of intelligence. It's not really about the service chief. And let me tell you one thing that I felt that the president prioritized at that time was loyalty. He prioritized loyalty. Remember that this was a president that was removed before, during military era, by people that he felt that he could trust. So I think his regime sustainability, preservation was important at that time. And I'm not saying that they prioritized that, but they felt that that would bring perhaps more stability for him to be able to focus on other things if it is rest assured that the area of coup and removal from government is settled. Now, back to the issue that we're discussing this morning. I don't know if you're married, if you're a father, but I can tell you, for a father, you know that even in your household, there is limit to the amount of information as a father that you have. You discover that your wife will know much more at home than you do. You will know.
Yeah, but here's what I'm saying.
I'm coming. I'm trying to make a point. Yeah. Your wife will receive a lot of information from you and will only dish to you what she feels that you should know about the children. That is from the unit of the society, family as a unit. I have had the opportunity of working with the president. I was a senior detail to a president in Nigeria, and I can tell you, when you are right there in Aso Rock, you only know what people around you want you to know, or what you read from newspaper, what you watch on TV, which you have limited time to do that, and the ones that when you have a direct conversation with people. We are talking about a man that is seated there to tackle issues that is affecting over 200 million people. They have different interests, different agenda, different concerns.
So are you saying this is the respect to President Tinubu or former President Muhammad Buhari?
No, for all the presidents, there is limit to the information that you have, because you read daily summary. Even if some president may not even have time to read daily intelligence summary, they will rely on the people working in the presidential villa to summarize the summary that intelligence community are sending to them on daily basis.
Okay, so who then? If you're saying that there's a limit to what the commander-in-chief of the armed forces, there's a limit to how much information the person in charge of security for the country, can know, who then should we blame when it comes to security challenges in Nigeria?
That is the reason why there is delegated authority. He has delegated authority to certain people to act on his behalf. It is expected, and that is where I said that there are problems. When people you have delegated authority are having their own interests, when some of them rather are having their own interests and they are sabotaging your effort along the line, feeding you different information, making you to believe either everything is fine, making you to believe that, oh, don't worry, the next 6 months we are going to. I know in the next, and that 6 months, a lot of people have already, been killed.
So I think that comes back to something that my colleague had. I think that comes back to something my colleague had said earlier. If we go by what you're saying, that the president has access to the information that those whom he has appointed should, they come back to him with information. If they're not doing their own end of the deal, does it not then come back to the president to take very decisive actions, strong actions against these people for not holding their own end of the deal and reporting the necessary information that they should?
You have to provide evidence of their complicity. in the matter, which is also very difficult. Because you don't just lay an allegation against the principal officer, so, head of the government.
Mr. Adetayo.
You must provide. We've seen cases where, some retired generals will come up either in Taraba, in Plateau, in Kaduna, to say, this is what is happening. And you say counter-narrative from the other hand. To say, no, this is not what is happening. It is this people, it is this people. You have a man at the center of it all that is now looking, please, who's going to tell me the truth about what is happening? Now, this is me painting to you the reality of what we have. And I believe that when we have, and the reason why some people are finding it difficult to come out is because those who have spoken in the past, nothing happened. You now want, or some of them got killed along the line. You want new people to come out and speak when we don't have a strong criminal justice system that will ensure that when they come out to testify, something will be done. Mr.
Adetayo, I just want us to remember that aside the, top military personnel, the heads of police, there's also the National Security Advisor, there's also personal assistants to the president. There are too many people. There are too many people for a president to say that he's not aware or they were giving him right information. And also, it's not just that, there are too many people to give him. And it's one of the reasons that we don't want 90-year-old presidents anymore in Nigeria. We want presidents who are social media savvy, who understand, how to source information for themselves also. And another thing is, if you've been supposedly lied to for 1 year, you've lost 1,000 people. The next year, they continue to tell you the same stories of how they still have not been figured out, and you've lost another 2,000 people. Yeah. Then it's an indictment on you as the president.
I mean, the numbers are quite alarming. I saw a report by Cable Index in 2002, first quarter of 2002 alone, 1,743 Nigerians were killed. By the end of the year, over 4,500 were killed and over 4,600 were kidnapped. And these numbers, the numbers that were killed were more than the people that were killed in the first quarter of the Russia-Ukraine war. And that was in 2022. So imagine the numbers, what they're saying, even now in 2024. So at the end of the day, what we're saying or what we're asking is all of this happens. The president should understand that he's the first person, he's the one in charge of the security, and his mandate is to restore the security to within the borders of the country.
I correct one assumption. And I'm a proponent of removal of age limitation. I need to correct your assertion that the reason why I don't want the 90 year, please, it has got to do with stage. As long as the person is intelligent and has experience. Remember, we are where we had to, because young people in government, in leadership, when they're in their late 20s, early 30s, put Nigeria into civil war. Put Nigeria, do you know how many people died in civil war? Who were the leaders then? How old were they? Young people can destroy society, can uplift society. Old people, when they are not intelligent enough, they can destroy society. Old people that are intelligent enough can build society. It's not about age. It's about the quality of the individual. And we must get this right.
We must get this right. We don't have a choice.
People when they are very young.
Right.
It's not about age.
Dr. Seyi Adetayo, thank you so much for joining us. We're hoping that we can have a more detailed conversation some other time, but we've come to the end of this time, and we thank you for your time with us.
Thank you so much.